If your blood runs orange and blue, this is the pod for you. You're listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, hosted by EJ Stewart and Tommy Beer. Let's get to it, New York.
Yep, Knicks win 101-97, take game one over the Cleveland Cavaliers. So after 2 days off, the Knicks and Cavs lock horns again for game two on Tuesday. The Knicks are trying to become just the 22nd team in NBA history to win the first two games on the road of a 2-2-1-1-1 series format. Ironically, one of the teams to complete this feat was the 1999 New York Knicks, who went on to go to the NBA Finals and lose to the San Antonio Spurs. They beat the Atlanta Hawks on the road in the first two games of the Eastern Conference semifinal series that they played. Road teams who win the first two games of a series are 21-4 all time in this format of going on to win the series. So that is what is available to the Knicks. Essentially, a win gives you an 85 to 95% chance to win the series if they get it done in Cleveland. So how realistic is it from what you saw in game one for the Knicks to not only get a split, but then leave Cleveland with two games in this series?
Yeah, listen, it's not crazy. I mean, as we mentioned, Emmanuel Quickley, Quinn Grimes, RJ Barrett, a combined 3 of 21 from the floor. Randall 1 of 7 in the second half. Brunson limited to foul trouble. Donovan Mitchell had 38, and Knicks still come back and win that game one. So would I be shocked for those things to kind of flip flop? And I think the Knicks, like we talked about, have to get greedy right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Knicks have a great opportunity in front of them because it's funny. When I watch these series, what I like to do is I like to listen to the other side. I like to hear what is happening in Cavs world. What are they saying? How are they assessing this first game? And I got to be honest, Tommy, they sound a lot like how I and many Knicks fans sounded after game one against the Hawks. That's what they sounded like. It was a lot of, well, we got to get adjusted to the speed of the game. You got to get adjusted to the physicality. And, Brunson did that. Could he do that for 4 games? I mean, that was what the Knicks and I was saying after they lost game one to Trae Young and the Hawks. It was, can Trae Young keep playing like this? It was, the Knicks, adjust to the physicality and get themselves back into this series. Like, it was all those things that I kept hearing from Knicks fans, and what I was spewing was what I was hearing from Cavs fans. And I looked at that and I said, if you're relying on a lot of these things to kind of just flip themselves and turn this thing around, and you think that you don't have to play much better for you guys to actually come back in this series, that you think that you guys can kind of just figure it out and just show up for game two and things will just be better, I think they could be in for a rude awakening. I really think the Knicks have a chance to get this game because, as you mentioned, Tommy, like, you had IQ giving you nothing. Essentially, I mean, not only did he give you nothing, he was really a minus. And with the turnovers he was having, again, he didn't seem in tune on either side of the ball. So you got nothing from IQ. RJ Barrett was able to give you some score, some assisting and some defense, but he couldn't give you any scoring. Jalen Brunson essentially did not play in the first half of this game. Julius Randle is coming off of an ankle injury, having not played basketball, at least in an NBA game, in 17 days. And that was the game you couldn't get. You couldn't get that game where you got Donovan Mitchell giving you a 38-point performance and a big second half. You couldn't get that win. That, to me, is a really rough sign for what the Knicks have in store for them. I'm assuming what the Cavs have in store for them. So I think that it is realistic that the Knicks could find a way to win game two. Now, I think that there are certain things that you probably don't want to happen in game one that you don't want to happen in game two in order for you guys to win. Like, I don't think you want to live with another 0 for 5 from IQ. Mitchell getting 38. I mean, we know he's a great player. You don't want him to average 38, so you probably want to get that number down just a little bit. So that is something that's going to be a problem. But I do think that there is a way for the Knicks to play essentially similar to how they played in terms of beating them on the glass, remaining physical, being in tune defensively, and coming away with a game two win. I don't see this high ceiling for Cleveland to play all that much better than we saw in game one. Maybe you get a better performance from Mobley, but I don't think you're getting much from that bench. That bench has been a problem for Cleveland all season. Karis LeVert, who Jackson Flickinger, who came on our show and talked about his struggles with his shot, especially off the dribble. He did not look comfortable shooting the ball. Isaac Okoro did not look comfortable shooting the ball. I just think that this is going to be a problem for the Cavs throughout the rest of the series. I think some adjustments that you could see from Cleveland in game 2. I think, one, the Cedi Osman strategy regarding him against Jalen Brunson one-on-one, I would expect that to be thrown completely out of the window, or at the very least, used much more minimally than it was in that game 1. And again, that seemed that, again, speaking about how much it reminded me of the Knicks losing to Atlanta in game 1 a couple years ago. That kind of reminded me of like the Frank Ntilikina coming in cold in that series to guard Trae Young in the biggest possession of the game. Like the Cedi Osman going up against Jalen Brunson in that situation. Osman, not known as a defender, not a good matchup for Jalen Brunson because of the lack of foot speed. He has some length, but Jalen Brunson seemed entirely comfortable just working him one-on-one. I don't expect that to be the case. If somehow they decide that Osman is still their best option down the stretch, they're going to send doubles. At least if they were smart, they're going to send doubles. Like that was probably the most surprising thing for me from game 1 in terms of a strategy standpoint from Cleveland. The way JB Bickerstaff talked about Brunson, talked about the Knicks prior to this series. After Jalen Brunson put up 48 points and beat them after that game a couple weeks ago, in the week leading up to the series, it felt like they were teasing that you could expect a lot of double teams. You could expect Jalen Brunson to be forced to get the ball out of his hands. And that was not the case. They tried to load up Donovan Mitchell in the pick and roll actions when they tried to go small, 1-2 or 1-3 pick and rolls to try to get a switch. Mitchell was staying in help and not really leaving until he absolutely had to. But there was not a strategy to say we need to get the ball completely out of Jalen Brunson's hands. I think that will probably be the first adjustment you see from Cleveland. If it's not in the first half, I think you almost definitely could expect it in the fourth quarter, that on pick and roll situations or in situations where they're isolated, I think you'll see them run 2 guys at Jalen Brunson. I think one of the things you also could see as well is a change to the rotation on that bench, because again, they got absolutely nothing from that bench. You got 0 from Ricky Rubio, 3 points from LeVert. He's going to play. Nothing they can do about that. But Dean Wade gave you 2 points. So maybe Danny Green gets some time. Danny Green, not the defender he used to be, not maybe doesn't have the same legs he used to have, but maybe he makes a run at them and he gives them some minutes. Maybe he's a guy that can chase around Brunson for a little bit. Maybe Lamar Stevens may be a guy. He's another defender that maybe they'll try to run at Brunson, guy with a little bit of length. I don't think either of those guys are great matchups, but the minutes they got from Rubio and Dean Wade were a disaster. I mean, Dean Wade was a -14. Rubio was a -9. He had 2 turnovers in 6 minutes. So I expect there to be some shuffling on the Cavs bench. I expect there to be a much different strategy when it comes to guarding Jalen Brunson. And I think it's a little bit scary hours for Cleveland. It's a little bit of scary hours for Cleveland, because to get that kind of game from Donovan Mitchell and you still couldn't win, even though the Knicks had really poor performances from guys that I just don't think you could expect to see those performances throughout this series. Like maybe 1 for 7 from LeVert is like, I think he'll have better games than that, but I don't know how much better Isaac Okoro was playing. He had 6 points and 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. I mean, he's not a scorer, so that's what you're gonna get from him. Rubio is clearly not 100%, so I think that what you saw from him is probably what you're gonna get from him in this series. Dean Wade is not going to be a factor in this series. They actually got a good game from Cedi Osman, besides the fact that he couldn't guard Brunson. He gave his best effort, and he did hit 2 threes. He had 9 points. He played pretty well, and they found a way to lose that game. So I think the Knicks are in really good shape. So when it comes to making a pick for game 2, I think the Knicks are going to do it. I think the Knicks are going to get 2. I really do. I'm thinking about what I saw in game 1. And the Knicks, there are certain things that just kind of won't ever really leave. That's why I thought the Cavalier response to this game was very interesting, because they were talking about fixing things I don't think that they could fix. Like they say it will be more physical. I'm like, okay, I just don't think they're a more physical team than the Knicks. I mean, Evan Mobley's getting trucked under the basket on rebounding situations by Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson. Like, I just don't see them out. Josh Hart is bullying their guards. I just don't see them out physicaling the Knicks. So physicality is going to travel. Is never going to leave the Knicks. And they say that, well, we can rebound better. You've been a bad rebounding team all season. I don't see rebounding all of a sudden say, well, we take away the Knicks rebounding, we'll win the game. I think the Knicks are going to out rebound them every game. And, J.D. Bickerstaff says, that they need to get a better spark from the bench. Your bench has been terrible all season. I don't think you're getting a great or much better performance from your bench. It was a series I had going 7, but after watching game 1, this looks a lot more like a 6 or 5 game series to me. It really does. So I think the Knicks are going to gain some confidence from that win. I don't think this is a Knicks team that's going to come in that's going to be kind of fine with just getting a split. I think he'll get a better game from Emmanuel quickly. I think the Knicks also get game 2, and they go up 2-0 coming back to New York. Now, the Knicks have not been a great home team, so I'm not saying necessarily that means it's a sweep. But, of course, if you get the first 2 games of the playoffs on the road, it definitely puts a sweep on the table. So we'll see what happens. Game 2, Tuesday night. Let me get the time here for you guys for that Knicks game 2. But man, I thought that of all the games we had this weekend, game 1, Knicks Cavs was one of the best we had, and there were plenty of really good ones. You had a really good one with the Clippers and Suns. You had a really good one out in Sacramento. So the Knicks Cavs put on a great performance in game 1 in terms of competition. We'll see what they do in game 2, but game 2 is 7:30 Eastern on TNT. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest podcast ventures. Links will be in the descriptions. And as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in our next video.